right? So either they drop the hip, which I don't advise, or better yet, they just sprawl out and they're driving off of their toes. Now I don't have access to the leg to scoop it, and for me to whip him here, his weight is so far in that direction that it's hard to get any meaningful space so that I can get this underhook on my left side. So if that happens, it's a perfect opportunity to switch up my game and do something different. So we're gonna go to our butterfly, okay? When we make the transition to our butterfly, we're gonna do a couple things first. I'm gonna own this overhook, right? I realize that I'm never gonna, or maybe never, I realize that I'm not gonna get this underhook, so I just own the overhook on this side. And then I'm gonna do what we call our pimp arm on this side, where I cup this knee so that he can't drive his knee back towards me. It's kind of like, you're gonna keep this underhook for me, you're gonna keep this knee for me. It's like, all right, now it stays there, okay? I'm gonna undo my lockdown if I already have it, and I'm gonna go stomp, or we call this the pre-stomp, on the ankle bone, right? So he can't move his foot. My left leg is gonna go butterfly, we call that our stomp, and then my right leg is gonna go behind the leg, we call that our super stomp. So pre-stomp, stomp, super stomp. Pre-stomp, stomp, super stomp. If you can do that quickly, right, you can skip a step on that pre-stomp, right? We can just go here, boom. But if it's hard, right, and especially if he's crowding our hips, right, I might have to actually he made it easier right there. Yeah, right there. Sometimes it's a hard time. I can't get this leg in, right? So I have to scoot there. Now I get it in, and then I get our super stomp. And then from there, we're gonna elevate him. He's not gonna just let me sweep him from here. He's going to base out, and as he does that, I'm gonna use his base to pull myself up, and I'm gonna transition this pimp arm to an underhook on my right side. So I elevate here, he bases out, and I use that to pull myself up here, okay? So we're just kicking up into our cocoon. Away from me, right? So it's hard for me to go to my lockdown. So I own the overhook instead, and I pimp arm here. Pre-stomp, stomp, super stomp. I elevate, and I use his base to pull myself up. I go to this underhook here, and I try to get my head to the overhook side. And let's just stop right there for now. There's a lot of game from here, but I actually want you guys to end up in a different way. So when I'm making this shift here, over here, okay, pre-stomp, stomp, super stomp, okay. When I forward shift, I'm actually going to cup at this shoulder here, and I'm gonna pummel this arm through as I'm shifting, right? So it's as I bring him up here, I'm ending up here, okay? It's my shoulder crunch. And that can be difficult if his head's being really tight, okay? Over here, right, we get here, as I'm kicking him through, as long as I'm mindful of it, okay? I'm pummeling this arm inside, and I'm ending up here. And you could do this prematurely, right? I can get here on the shoulder crunch first, right? To where the blade of my wrist is going to the top of the shoulder. My palm is facing away from my face on my top side arm. My inside arm palm is facing me, and my forearm is kind of across his throat here. And I'm clamping down on his shoulder, and I'm keeping my elbow high. So I can get here now and forward shift, or I could find my way there as I kick up. Here, okay? Once again, this the blade of this wrist on the shoulder, palm away from me, this hand palm towards me, my forearm out across his face, and my elbow high. This elbow high is probably the most important detail here. If I start to clamp down with this elbow, which actually feels pretty intuitive, Sebastian can bring his face in front of my face and get his elbow back, right? So if I'm here high with my elbow, it's hard for him to get that face in front of my face, but as soon as I start to clamp down, he's getting his elbow back, right? So my elbow is high with my right arm, okay? My underneath arm. And this is our shoulder crunch. From here, I'm gonna push him away from me, okay? Towards his post, knowing that he can post here. I know that I'm probably not gonna get him in this direction, when I try to sweep him, that's fine. I just want to off balance him and get him to push back into me. So I push him this way. When he pushes back, I take him over that way. As we're going, right, we want to keep that elbow high. We don't want to disrupt that elbow positioning, okay? So I'm turning like this, keeping that elbow high the whole time. All right, so we're here. I push into him, he pushes back, and I take him all the way through. Look at how I'm keeping the connection too with my forearm across his throat. That's another thing that's gonna really help me get him over. One more time. Just from the shoulder crunch. So, pushing him away, he pushes back into me, and I get the shoulder crunch sweep. Usually that happens if I'm here and my partner's giving me enough space to get this frame in, right? If I can get this frame in, I can get this shoulder crunch. It's right there, right? So, and maybe it happens like I'm framing here and he beats this this frame that I have, and he gets this cross face and he gets me here, right? So he hasn't beaten this yet, and maybe he's still kind of tight on that side where he's not letting me get the underhook, but I can keep this frame and just go straight to this shoulder crunch from here. I'm still doing the same stuff here. I'm sacrificing my pimp arm and my owning the overhook. That's fine though, right? I can still just go straight to it, and I might even be able to get the sweep right away from here, okay? If I can, that's awesome, right? That's not, I'm gonna where I get the sweep right away. But he might not let that happen, and we still have to sit ourselves up, okay? So it's like we're here, I get my pre-stomp, I stomp, I super stomp, and I get this shoulder crunch because my arm is already here. And then if I can't get the sweep, of course, I'm just gonna forward shift my way up, push him this direction, and then just wait for him to push into me, and then I go. Okay, so we're assuming now that we have that frame across our partner's throat, and we're just going straight to that shoulder crunch off of our back. Cool? Let's do that. 1, 2.